Hi, everybody. So, it occurred to me that in all of the videos that I've been doing, I haven't actually talked about the dark night of the soul. So, today's topic is going to be on the dark night of the soul. What is the dark night of the soul? Well, the dark night is a little bit misleading. Of course, it's not one night. Everybody has this misconception when they're first awakening that it's, of course, just one night. That is not the case, unfortunately. I wish I could say that it was, because that would make things easier. However, this process is not always about ease, as you've probably already figured out along your journey and your awakening process. So, the dark night of the soul generally lasts anywhere from a year to 5 years. I've heard even longer, up to 7 years. It depends on the person. It depends on how willing you are to look at yourself. Um, that will really, really depend on each individual person, how much time they have to commit to themselves in working through their process. So, what is the dark night of the soul? Well, essentially, it's when you awaken, you go through this process of pretty much unraveling all of your past. So, your story, what has led you to this point today, and anything that's contained within that, including any traumas or any good experiences, all of those things are going to start unraveling and coming to the surface. A lot of the times when you're going through the dark night of the soul, you're not actually conscious of it. So suddenly you're just feeling overwhelmed, or you swing into a deep depression. Everything becomes darker or harder because a lot of resistance is coming up. And of course, this resistance is coming up because you're not looking at the deeper root of the problem. There's a lot of emotions. People take a lot of swings up and down, up and down. So it could feel like you're actually depressed. It could feel like you're actually bipolar because you're going through all of these emotional changes. And essentially, what's going on is that you are being asked to look at yourself. So, to look at what is causing the pain, what is causing these emotional swings and the upheaval in your life. And the reason why you're being shown this is because there are things that A, you need to heal with traumatic events, and B, things that no longer serve your higher purpose. So they're asking, your higher self and your guides are asking you to essentially move all of these things out of the way or out of your picture and start to work through the process of your emotions in order for you to walk a path of alignment with yourself and with the universe, of course. So, kind of talk about timelines, of course. That does take anywhere from, like I said, 6 months, year, 7 years. It really depends on how willing you are to look at yourself on a deeper level. And this is where a lot of my clients come in, is because they've gone through, a year or so of the dark night or even longer. And a lot of the people who are attracted to me or guided to me are guided to me right at that time where they're reaching the climax of it, or they're finally coming to this point where, oh, things in my house always move when I do these videos. Funny. Um, Something just randomly fell over that shouldn't have fallen over. So, anyhow, people usually are guided to me right at that time, which is a pivotal moment in their life where they're ready to change. And this is an indication by their being guided to me because, of course, that's what I do. I'm a life guidance coach for the awakened people, for the awakened souls. And this is what I help people do. I help coach them with my long term clients, especially. I coach them out of that dark night of the soul and into that path of alignment with themselves. So that's essentially the time frame, and what happens is really dependent on you, of course. Now, with that, with the dark night of the soul, one of the things that you want to consider is really processing. So, giving yourself enough time. Anytime that you're going through an emotional period, ask yourself why, or what is the root of the problem? What is the root of this pain? Why am I experiencing this pain? And oftentimes you'll receive a message being guided to you again Sometimes you'll read a post on Facebook. Sometimes you'll see a video like this. You're always being guided. Sometimes somebody will just say something that clicks and it makes sense to you and it resonates on a deeper level. And this is what I like to call the unlocking of your code. So, anytime that you receive these messages and they highly resonate, sometimes it's just a word or two, but for some reason they're so impactful. This is the unlocking of your own code. And what's going on is even on a soul level, maybe consciously you're not aware of what's going on, but on a soul level, it's really starting to unlock all of these memories and all of these things that you have attached to in your own story. And it starts to unfurl. But be aware that when this does occur, even though it can be an aha moment, an epiphany, it can bring with it a whole lot of drama or a whole lot of pain. It just depends on what it is that it's unlocking within you. And it's going to continue. So, this dark night of the soul, you won't be in it forever. If you were guided to me, to my videos, or to my Facebook group, which is called Aligning with Your Purpose, then you are starting the process of looking within and unlocking the rest and dealing with those emotions as they come. So don't fret. You will not be in this process forever. It's just a matter of time. And you have to be accepting that it does take time to process all of that. And it does take time to recognize that you are in the dark night of the soul. As I said, I've met people who have been in it for years and they didn't realize what it was that they were going through. And often that's the case. We just don't have the understanding until we know. You can't know something until you know it. So when they come to me and they're unlocking all of this, they realize, wow, that's exactly what I've been going through. Once you recognize that you're in this pattern and you're going through the dark night of the soul, then your soul goes, okay, you're on board. Let's go further with this. And you will only get what you can handle. So even when you're feeling so overwhelmed and so down, don't worry. Don't let it faze you because you're only going to get what you can handle and what you knew you could handle before you came here. So, talked about the timelines, talked a little bit about what happens in the dark night of the soul. Let's move on to talk more about what you can expect from the dark night of the soul. So, the dark night of the soul is going to, as I said, bring a lot of emotions, a lot of upheaval, and a lot of resistance. So some of the things that you can be aware of are the mood fluctuations. The down periods can be very long, and if they are long, then you should recognize at that point that there's something that you need to look at and that you need to deal with. And you cannot suppress it by using any kind of drugs or alcohol or running away. You can't consume your life with being busy. You have to look deeper at the problem, face it head on, because if you don't, you'll be going into that deeper and deeper and deeper, and it'll feel like torture. You'll be torturing yourself essentially. So you want to look at it as soon as you recognize that that is what's going on. Other things that you can expect are the resistance in your reality. So this can be with relationships, it can be with your partner, it can be with your children, it could be with your extended family, it could be with your friends, it could be with your coworkers. It could also be your job. It can be pretty much anything that you have going on in your reality. It can even be as simple as, and this is what I experienced at first, I would have days where I'd be in these lows in my dark night of the soul, and it didn't matter what I did. You know, I have two children, and when I was going through it, my son was just a baby, and my daughter was 3. So for me, I had to take care of things in my own house, and I had to feed them, and I had to breastfeed, and I had to bottle feed, and I had to do a whole bunch of things. And I didn't have time, to really look at myself. And so what was going on is I would walk throughout my day and do these things, and it just seemed like every single thing I try to do would backfire on me. It wouldn't matter what I was doing. It's just everything. I would be making a bottle or something, and I would knock over the bottle or something with my elbow and spill it all over the floor, and then I would turn around to clean it up and I would slip on the milk, or um, yeah, it was just nonstop. Every single time I turn around, something would happen. Now, when you have these things going on in your daily existence, and people call it one of those days or just a bad day, well, it's not. It's being shown to you because you're being told to slow down. Slow down and take some time to just relax and breathe and look at yourself. Why is this happening? What is the universe trying to show me? And for me, it was definitely like I didn't, I had this excuse in my head. I don't have time for all that because I have to breastfeed and bottle feed because I just didn't make enough milk. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to stay keeping up with my family. And really, that's true. I did need to take care of my family, but I also needed to take care of myself. And that was my expression of creating my own reality, that was expressing itself like my own needs, to take care of my own needs, which I was not doing at that time. So if you have one of those bad days where every time you turn around you stumble or you get hurt or you wreck something and it just seems to not stop, well, that's a good indication that you should be looking at yourself and understanding that that is your own reality that you're creating. You're creating that reality to tell you something about yourself. So that's one of the things that you can expect. The other thing you can expect is issues in these relationships with people. You will start to feel either unsupported or unloved or not treated fairly. And you'll feel a lot of injustice in your heart from these situations. And you'll start to recognize a lot more patterns in other people, which might irk you. Let's be honest. That is a good indication that you are in the dark night of the soul. When you start recognizing these things in other people, then that's how you know to look within yourself, because they are simply a reflection of yourself. So if there's something that bothers you in another person, well, they're just mirroring back what bothers you about yourself. And that is something that you can expect a lot of. So this tells you, hey, okay, well, now I know where to look. Why does that bother me about that person? Why does this relationship bother me? Because really, the place that you're coming to is acceptance for everybody for exactly where they are on their own path, and love for them, and appreciation, gratitude for them coming into your life and showing you what you need to change or alter about yourself. So this is the place that you're going to eventually come to. However, at the time of your dark night of the soul, everything is just, it's like dredging through the mud. And if you allow it to get really cloudy, it's going to get really cloudy, and that mud's going to get really thick, and it's going to be very hard to move through it unless you stop and assess why these things are bugging you, or why these people or patterns are showing themselves to you. So the other thing that you can expect, because it's not all bad, and this kind of goes with these fluctuations that I was telling you about. So sometimes you'll reach these peaks, and not usually in the very beginning. In the very beginning for me, I had really weird things happening to me. My spiritual awakening started with just feeling different because, of course, as some of you already know, I went through three kind of really traumatic experiences that catapulted me into my own spiritual awakening. And one of the things that I felt in my physical body right away was my arms from my elbows to my hands went numb. And they were like not completely numb as though I had slept on them, but this numbing feeling. And at first, I thought I was having a stroke, but it was both my arms. So it didn't make any sense. And I couldn't find anything on it online to figure out what was going on. But I realized as time went by, because it would happen for, a good 3 months and then it would go away. And I realized later on what was going on was this was one of the first symptoms of my spiritual awakening, showing me that I was a healer. It was this energy, because that was the other thing. I was feeling energy surging from my elbow to my fingers, back and forth. And it was this energy presenting itself, but it was becoming so overwhelming that my arms would go numb because it just built up and built up and built up. And I didn't know how to release it or how to use it. I really was completely clueless as to what was going on. As I said, I initially thought maybe there was a health issue and that I needed to look at, but really it was just this energy going back and forth, and it was expressing itself to be released because I was going through a lot of trauma at the time, and my dark night of the soul, of course. So those are things you can expect. When you hit these peaks, they're mind-blowing. They really are. They are mind-blowing. These are the acceleration points, as I like to call them. So you have these lows, and once you come out of this low, you can come out of it relatively quickly and unscathed if you deal with the process. Then you're elevated into this acceleration point, which is amazing. This is when things start presenting themselves that you've never seen, like signs from the universe. Maybe you're seeing 1111 all the time. That's the initial sign to wake up. Hello, wake up. TikTok. So when you see that, that is a sign from the universe. You might see feathers. You might see all kinds of things. You might be thinking about somebody and somebody comes into your life all of a sudden, or you might be thinking about a friend or a relative and wondering how they're doing, and suddenly they phone you or you get a message from them. These are things that you can expect in these acceleration points. Synchronicities, like crazy. So be aware of them. Be consciously aware of the signs that the universe is showing you all the time. It could be maybe your mood is really low and suddenly you're seeing a lot of yellow or bright pink or even green because you're feeling really depressed. Maybe even brown because you're feeling ungrounded. You might be seeing specific colors, and this is yourself and your guides guiding you to these things to show you, hey, you should be wearing a lot of this or incorporating this color into your life right now because you're going to find healing or whatever energy that you're going to need from that color. It could also be songs. One of my guides loves to communicate to me in songs, always. And it's never even really about the feeling of the song, it's always the words. My guide will show me the specific part of the song that has the words with the message in it, which is awesome. I love that. So be aware that when you're in these acceleration points in your life, in this awakening process, you're going to have a lot of amazing things coming into your life. So be aware. The other thing that happens in these acceleration points, and this is what I like to reference as the gift, and this is your gift to yourself. So when you're coming into these acceleration points after working on something that was difficult, then it's like you're being gifted something from yourself. So imagine it like you're opening a treasure box, and inside that treasure box is the reveal of one of your gifts and abilities. How magnificent is that? So every time you do work on yourself, something amazing, there is always a gift, a treasure awaiting for you afterwards, because you've done the work and you recognize that on a soul level. Your higher self and your guides recognize that, the universe recognizes that. So they want to give you that next step. And usually it comes in the form of this beautiful gift. And this is not a physical gift, this is a gift within yourself. Maybe it's the gift of gratitude and finding more love and being grateful for everything in existence. All of the things that you do have, even if it's just a roof over your head, even if it's just a little bit of food. This gratitude is going to be one of the first steps that you're going to find in your process that will be gifted to you. And then after that, it might be some of your, maybe it's clairvoyance or clairaudience or your claircognizance or clairsentience or clairolfaction. It could be anything, but you're always gifted something. So you can always expect that if you do the work, you will be rewarded for the work that you have done, which makes this whole dark night of the soul worth going through, in my opinion. So, those are some of the things that you can expect. Keep in mind that when you're going through this process, your timeline for the dark night of the soul is going to be completely different than somebody else's. So let go of any expectations that you have around it. As previously mentioned, it's going to depend on the amount of time that you are taking to look at yourself on that deeper level. It's also going to depend on the amount of trauma that you have experienced in your timeline. So don't hold any expectations, and don't hold yourself to any expectations. That's the biggest thing. Because we are our own worst critics, we often tend to put so much pressure on ourselves instead of just letting it go. Instead of just dropping these expectations, we just go harder and harder, and that sets us up for more failure, more disappointment, and deeper levels of sadness during this process. So throw caution to the wind when you are looking at yourself and allow all of these expectations to simply fall away. And every time that you start to get a little hard on yourself about it, why aren't you getting to the point where you thought you would be by this time? Then just gently remind yourself by verbalizing that it's okay and you are exactly where you need to be right now. You designed this plan, so you are always on track with it, regardless of which direction you choose. You're always on track with your plan. So if you are doing that, then just gently remind yourself that you're doing just fine and you're okay. And if you have been guided to this video or to my Facebook group, then there's a good chance that you're ready to acknowledge the fact that you are in the dark night of the soul, or that you have already surpassed the dark night of the soul. Like I said, people have been guided to me when they need the help that they need, when they are ready to take that help. Because that's another thing is, often if you're not actually ready to acknowledge that you played a role in your own life's creation, and that starts from birth on. I mean, before you came here, you wrote the story of what you wanted to experience. And as you went on into your adult life, then you became a creator of that experience on a daily basis. So you are responsible for that. And if you cannot take that responsibility and you stay in victim consciousness, thinking that the world is always out to get you and that this person did that to you and that person did that to you, but in reality, you actually energetically chose these people to bring these lessons into your life. When you are ready to accept all of that, then that is when people find me. And that is when they're guided to me, because then I can help you. If you're not at that point yet, then allow yourself this process of the dark night of the soul and allow your emotions and your code to unlock a little more, and let that sink in. Let my words sink in to your being. And eventually you'll come to this idea, this same realization, because we are a collective consciousness. And there are many other people who have this information and knowledge also, and we all share it with you because we know we've been in that same position at one point or another. So allow these words to just sink in and chew them over for a while. Eventually, you'll come to the same realization. It might be in one of your highs that you go, oh, yes, now this highly resonates with me on a level that I never felt before. And the understanding, I kind of like to think of it like a bubble, because the understanding, when I say words to you, maybe it doesn't really sink in. You know, you're hearing them in your conscious brain, you're understanding them, but when you have the full understanding, that aha moment, it's like this bubble goes around you, and this full understanding of everything that those words really meant. So the underlying meanings, the emotions behind it, the energy behind it, the light behind it, all of these things are contained in this bubble, and you're in the middle of it. And it's just going through your whole body and your being and radiating back out and back and forth. That's what these moments are really like. That's full understanding of something. And as I said, it's not always a full understanding. You could be consciously aware that you understand that, but until your body resonates with it, you don't fully understand it. So take some time if that's the case. All right, so that's kind of all I wanted to touch base on. There was something else, but I've forgotten it. So if I remember, maybe I will put it in the notes below this video. All right, so if you are interested in joining my Facebook group, you can find me at Aligning with Your Purpose on Facebook. Of course, please give me the thumbs up if you like this video, and feel free to share it as much as you like. I will be doing some other videos coming up soon. I'm going to be starting some reviews on Oracle decks and tarot cards in order to help you and all of the people in my Facebook group to find the right medium for you to intuitively understand yourself a little better. So the right tools for the right people. So I'm going to be doing a review probably once a month, maybe even once every 2 weeks, depending on how it goes. And then you'll be able to see the cards, you'll be able to hear some of the messages, see how they work, and you'll pick up on the energy of those cards. That way you'll know if they're for you or if they're not. Because if you're like me, there have been many times where I was drawn to the box and then I opened the cards and yeah, it didn't do anything for me. The pictures were weird, and or I didn't like them, and for me, I'm very visual, so I love having a lot of color, and visual aspects really draw me in. The other thing is high frequency energy. So a lot of the cards that I'm going to be going through are ones that you can actually feel the energy from. So yes, stay tuned. I'm very excited to be announcing all of these. I've already recorded a few, but I'm just waiting to get these cards in stock because I will be opening a metaphysical shop also. And I'm just in the starting phases of doing that. It'll just start with cards at first, but then I'll move into all of the ceremonial things and crystals and things like that as well at some point. So, as I said, stay tuned. I'm very excited. And if you want to book a session with me, you can book an intuitive session, a life purpose coaching session, a life purpose alignment session, or a healing session. I offer a wide range of different sessions at different cost points. Or if you're looking to do long-term alignment with me, then please book a consultation with me and we can go over your life story. And that way we know where we need to start and what we need to do. And I create a plan that is specific to you and your needs and what you will need in order to align with your life purpose and align with yourself and get you out of the dark night of the soul. If you're just needing help with something or you're wanting to learn how to harness an ability, I also do that under my long-term coaching. Sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 2 months. If it's just one thing that you're looking to harness, an ability or a gift. But really, check it out. If you're interested, book a long-term consultation. Prices on those vary. However, they are dramatically cheaper than any of my one-off sessions, and that's because of the commitment that you're putting in. I like to honor that. So I do drop my prices a lot for anybody who's looking to sign on long-term. You can find that as well as my blog posts at stormbydesignintuitive.com. All right, guys. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Love you all. Bye.